This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Tuesday. Feels like a fucking Tuesday. There's all kinds of shit going on in the world. I'm still crooked. I mean, I guess it's good that I'm not straight here on this Pride Month. RB, what is up? Weed, don't mind if I do. Thank you, Curiouser. Poke him if you got him. There are multiple things going on. It looks like the Senate is going to act on a law to protect Supreme Court justices. The January 6th hearings for tomorrow have been canceled or postponed. You don't know exactly what is going on. Apparently the hearings will take place on Thursday as scheduled. But all of that, what is up, Tones? All of that we're going to throw completely to the side because I didn't even know what happened last night. Senator Lindsey Graham went on Fox Nation, the streaming service, and had a debate with Senator Bernie Sanders. So we're going to forego doing the news tonight because I've been lazy today. And we're going to watch a debate between Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Lindsey Graham, because honestly, that's going to be more interesting than anything I could possibly talk about, right? Hour of Bernie Sanders laying the smack down on Lindsey Graham on the Fox streaming service. Fox invited Bernie on to do this. They keep doing it too. They keep inviting him on. I can't imagine that Bernie Sanders didn't come across better to the Fox viewers than Lindsey Graham. Like, that's not even a contest, right? It doesn't matter who it is. Bernie is going to come across better than Lindsey fucking Graham. It's almost like they wanted to embolden the progressives with this. So I'm very excited to watch it. The few clips I've gotten to watch have been hilarious and not going in Lindsey Graham's favor. We'll do the news tomorrow. Tonight, Senator Bernie Sanders versus Senator Lindsey Graham. Here's your meme for the day. Mom comes back from the store, says, I got you that game you were asking for. It is not the Elden Ring that so many young men have fallen prey to. Okay, RB is saying the January 6th committee had their schedule disrupted by the absence of one of the witnesses. The witness's wife had a baby. That's pretty innocuous. I guess we'll just postpone the hearing until a later date. Congratulations to whatever Trump official it was that came in somebody and furthered this cycle of greed. That's probably horrible of me to say. I got you that game you were asking for. For those of you who might not get it, the hot game still is Elden Ring. Came out in like March, April. Sparkle's kid has fallen prey to Elden Ring. Apparently he's a completely different person now. Elden Ring has made him a shithead. Oh shit, we're gonna play some video games. We're gonna get yours here in a little bit. Oh fuck. Alright, let's head on over to the main event. I'm probably not high enough for this shit. I hope this works out. I hope like Fox Nation isn't gonna stop me after. Enter my email to continue watching. Give me 1 second here. We'll give him my email. Which one you want? They have to verify it, so let me give him one that, I can get to easy. It's not wanting to let me play it. Oh, no. Here we go. I might have to sign up for a free trial of Fox News Nation. It played earlier on a different browser. Hold on. I may have just dropped my email to keep. It says it's free. It says it's one of their free features do here. It's gonna play on Firefox, so here we go.
Good afternoon from the Edward M. Kennedy Institute in Boston. We are joined today by a live audience inside the Institute's full-size replica of the United States Senate, some 450 miles.
The Institute's full-size replica of the Senate.
I'm Brett Baer. The Senate Project is a series of Oxford-style debates meant to rekindle the Senate's tradition of debate and collegiality in these times of division and partisanship.
Hopefully Fox Nation doesn't cut me off after like 10 minutes.
The Edward M. Kennedy Institute, the Orrin G. Hatch Foundation, and the Bipartisan Policy Center. Fox Nation is streaming this exclusively, and Fox News Channel will also present an encore presentation of this debate on Saturday, June 18th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Our goal today is to try to foster a discussion based on principles, not politics. Much like the example of bipartisan bridge building set by Democratic Senator Ted Kennedy and Republican Senator Orrin Hatch. Passing some
What was the name of the institute?
Of their times, such as
it had a name they were talking about.
And the Children's Health Insurance Program, and forming an unlikely friendship that transcended their partisan differences. In that spirit, in just a moment, we'll hear from independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Senator Lindsey Graham, a Trump-allied Republican from South Carolina. They're used to facing off from their top posts on the Budget Committee and clearly have very different views on the biggest issues facing the nation.
Clearly.
We'll try to find common ground through constructive disagreement and search for the bipartisan compromise that has been the hallmark of the U.S. Senate for more than 2 centuries. In the first segment, the senators will get 4 minutes each to make opening statements, followed by timed responses and closing statements. They'll see these clocks you see on the screen and have agreed to keep to time. No buzzers, chimes today. You won't hear any of that. For the
Lindsey Graham will talk about like his family and shit and his service, and then Bernie Sanders is going to come right out talking about like issues
dealing with the U.S. economy. Their offices agreed to that topic last week. Before we begin, just a note to the audience here, except for the beginning, if you could please remain silent, hold your applause until the end. And now, without
No, you should always boo
please welcome
Lindsey
from
Graham
Bernie Sanders
when given
and
the
South
chance.
Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham.
Bernie looking like a gangsta. This is the Edward Kennedy Institute. That is where they built a replica of the Senate.
This probably feels like home,
This
the
is
well
awesome.
of the Senate. We agreed to do a coin toss,
Okay.
very official, to start this off. Just to show you the coin. This is heads. This is the Statue of Liberty. And then on the back side is tails.
Looks like a rigged coin to me if I've ever seen one.
You get to call it in the air since this is home field advantage
Absolutely.
for you. All right.
Heads.
It is heads. Senator Sanders, you get to choose whether you go first or Senator Graham goes first.
I'll go first.
Senator Sanders,
go
the floor
first.
is yours.
Without hesitation.
The Kennedy Institute for hosting the event, Fox News for broadcasting it, and my colleague Lindsey Graham for being here with me.
Ooh, Fox Nation, not really Fox News.
In the history of the United States Congress. So what I'm going to tell you today is not something that you hear very often on Fox or CNN or ABC or the Washington Post, or in fact in the halls of Congress. What I'm going to tell you is that the working class and the middle class of this country are in serious trouble. We are moving toward an oligarchic form of society.
The man ain't wrong.
The number of billionaires not only have extraordinary wealth, they have extraordinary political power. We are living at a time when half of our people are living paycheck to paycheck in the wealthiest country on earth, when 70 million Americans have no health insurance or are underinsured, when we have a starvation minimum wage at the federal level of $7.25 an hour, where half of the elderly workers, older workers in this country, have nothing in the bank as they fear retirement. What I believe is that now is the time not to defend the establishment, which is doing phenomenally well. When you have two people on top in America who own more wealth than the bottom 40%, two people, top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 92%. CEOs of major corporations today are making 350 times more than their workers, and we have more income and wealth inequality than any time in American history. Now is the time for the American people to stand up, make it clear that enough is enough, and that we need a government that starts representing all of our people, not just wealthy campaign contributors. What does that mean? It means that we have to end a corrupt political system in which
It means we gotta riot, get your combat boots,
we have to end a very
learn how to make
We
Molotovs.
don't pay a nickel in federal taxes. It means we have to raise the federal minimum wage to at least 15.
Oh, and all the shit Bernie's talking about. Do that shit too, but like have the Molotovs ready.
That healthcare is a human right, not a
I
privilege.
ran somebody off by saying that. Good riddance.
As much per capita on healthcare to enrich the drug companies and the insurance companies. It means that Medicare is going to have to negotiate prescription drug prices so that we can lower the cost of prescription drugs by 50%. It means that we cannot continue to be the only major country on earth not to have paid family and medical leave. It means that we have to restore the $300 tax credit so that we are not continuing to be a nation which has one of the highest rates of childhood poverty in the United States. It means that we have to expand Medicare to cover dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses so that elderly people in this
Why are teeth luxury bones?
remaining years in dignity. And it means,
Makes no
among other
sense.
things, that we cannot continue to ignore climate change, which is an existential threat to this planet. And obviously, given the tragedies that we have faced in the last month in terms of guns, we need serious and real gun safety legislation. Bottom line, let's create a government that works for all of us, not just the people on top.
How in the fuck can anybody watching that not be like, well, that's a sensible fucking man?
Awesome place. If you get in Boston, come see the place. I want to thank, we're here to honor Ted and Orrin. Ted Kennedy, Orrin Hatcher were great friends. They fought like
Sleazy motherfucker.
together. And I have a different
Lindsey Graham
than Bernie, and we'll get through that here in a minute. But I like Bernie. Bernie's own message. I hear this every day, all the time, and he believes it. But I just want to remind you that the Democrats are in charge. After hearing Bernie talk, you would believe we're building a wall to keep people in, not out. Things are tough, but they're going to get better, right? And socialism is not the answer to all these problems. So I just want to remind you a little bit about where we're at. The Democrats have the House, the Senate, and the White House.
I'd just like to remind you that, like, nothing Bernie said was really socialism.
Their agenda is not working. So here's what I want to tell you. Vote Republican in 2022. Do yourself a favor and ask yourself the following question. Am I better off today?
You will not be doing yourself a favor by voting Republican in 2022.
Because most people are not better off today. And there's a reason. Policy matters.
You think we're fools?
You know, we're all Americans. He loves his vision of America. I disagree with it, but I admire his passion. But here's where we stand. 8.6% inflation, the highest in 40 years. When you go to the grocery store for $100, you're lucky if you get a bag. Go fill up your car. You got to take
You're lucky if you get a bag. 100 isn't getting you a bag of pot anymore outside the grocery store, is what Lindsey Graham just said. I mean, like,
American is in a world of hurt. 2 million people will come.
I can't disagree. The prices of pot, they just keep going up.
The highest in
But the quality as well, don't you
In
think?
December 2020, we had the lowest illegal immigrant crossings in 40 years. In April of this year, it was over 250,000. This is dangerous and it's irresponsible. And you're paying almost $800 a day to pay for an illegal immigrant child in U.S. custody. It's breaking the bank, and it's just...
I was told by Sally Struthers it was like fucking 10 cents a day.
If they could, because they don't see Bernie and I much different.
15 cents a day?
Their eyes. So we got a broken border. We need to fix it. Crime is rampant. This defund the police effort that you've been leading and others has taken a toll. I was picked up at
Bernie gave him a fucking a quick turn there.
Bottom line is, it's a
What you talking about, fool?
Who wants to go into law enforcement? It's time to let the cops know you're not the problem, the criminal's the problem. So we got
No. The cops are really the fucking problem. I go over this all the time, every fucking night. The cops are the fucking problem.
In modern American history, it's not working for you, and it needs to change. And they want to do more if they could. Vote Republican to stop packing the Supreme Court. We've worked hard to create a conservative majority. They want to increase the number of people on Supreme
What are you talking about packing the Supreme Court? You're the ones that pack the fucking Supreme Court.
Voter IDs and instituting ballot harvesting. They want to abolish the electoral.
He just turned around and said, we worked hard for our conservative majority.
Bottom line, it can be better. In 2019, we had the lowest poverty rate in modern history. African American families before COVID were having the highest income in the history of following statistics. Women were doing better. We had a secure border. The Arabs and the Israelis were working together. We had a country that was moving in the right direction. We had low gas prices, and jobs were abundant. And along
Israel has murdered a second journalist, by the way.
to that pre-COVID America. But you're never going to get back unless you change leadership in this country in 2022.
Senator Sanders, your response.
Just one thing is a matter
Graham's
of fact.
constituents are dumb.
The defunding of the police.
I stand corrected.
What I do believe in is former mayor, as a matter of fact, who worked very well with our police department, is we need community-based policing that reflects the people in those communities, that we have to fight racism in every way that we can. But I've never called for defunding the police. Now,
That sounds like a man who is still going to be running for president in a couple of years.
other than the partisan rhetoric
I'm just saying.
in talking about are, in fact, the most important issues facing this country. That's what the establishment does. And Lindsay is a very good and effective representative of the establishment. Does Lindsay have a concern that we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people? That some 60,000 people a year die because they don't get to a doctor on time? I didn't hear much about that in that opening statement. Lindsay care that we have the highest prices in the world for
Lindsay care, is that some form of health care that nobody would sign up for?
1,500 paid lobbyists in Washington, D.C. to make sure
the
that
secret package you get on Grindr.
times more
Care.
the medicine that we need. Did Lindsay talk about the fact that we have in South Carolina and all over this country tens of millions of workers working for starvation wages? Did he talk about a corrupt
God comment.
in which billionaires today can start a super PAC? And I guess you have something.
If you are just joining us, we have foregone talking about the news tonight. We are watching Senator Bernie Sanders debate Senator Lindsey Graham from the Kennedy Institute. Aired on Fox Nation. Had to jump through some hoops in order to get us to Fox Nation.
Familiarity with super PACs. They help fund your campaign.
Ooh.
Can spend unlimited amounts of money to elect candidates. You have the absurd situation where super PACs frequently spend more money than the candidates themselves. I didn't hear Lindsay talk about the crisis of climate change or the reality that scientists are telling us. It's not Bernie Sanders, Lindsay. This is what the best scientists in the world are telling us. We don't get our act together.
Some people would trust Bernie Sanders more, to be honest with you.
Future generations will be becoming increasingly uninhabitable. Talking about great cities like Charleston, South Carolina. You're aware of that. Neighborhoods flooding. There are people who are thinking that not only Charleston, but Miami, New York City.
Apparently there was a wild hailstorm in Mexico
You got to talk about
yesterday.
that. You got to talk about income and wealth inequality. Do you have a concern that two people own more wealth than the bottom 42%? Do you have a concern in terms of corporate concentration of ownership? You got 3 Wall Street firms now, BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, who control $20 trillion in assets. They control hundreds and hundreds of corporations throughout this country. Bottom line is we are moving toward oligarchy. And if we don't stand up and say that we need a government that represents working people and the middle class, I worry very much about the future of this country. And I hope you'll speak to some
Me too, Bernie.
Well, I'll be glad to speak to my campaign. I raised $112 million. The average donation was about $40, lindseygraham.com. The bottom line is the American.
I'm sure there was some kind of funneling of money in order to make it look like he had small dollar donations.
Things change. You haven't called for defunding the police. Will you do me a favor and say publicly today, those who are calling for defunding the police, stop.
Wow.
Because you're hurting the country. It's people in your party, the liberal wing, I don't know what you call these folks, but they believe the cops are the problem. You say you've never done it, but
The cops are a problem.
at the end of the day, I believe climate change is real, but that's no reason to destroy the fossil fuel industry in this country. We're moving to electric cars, but that's going to be 2034, 2035. Your party has made us miserable when it comes to filling up our tank. Your party took 10 million acres out of production. You closed the ability to produce oil and gas in Anwar, and you wonder why it costs so much to fill up your car. What the hell's happened in the last 2 years? Their policies. You think this is an accident? I'd like to lower health care costs.
They ain't passed anything. I don't know what policy Graham is referring to.
Sanders has a bill called Medicare for All. Bring it to the floor for a vote. I'm begging you to take Medicare for All and bring it to the floor of the Senate, which looks just like this, and let's vote. The reason it won't pass is because you're going to take private health care away from 200 million Americans, put us all under the government umbrella. It's going to cost about $40 trillion. In 2034, we'll be spending as much to maintain Medicare for All as we do for the entire federal government today. And people will have...
Hey, Lindsay, how much do we spend on health care? How much are we projected to spend on health care in the future? I'm assuming that number is a lot more than the number you just threw out there.
When are you going to fix the border? Y'all are in charge for 2 years. We've been telling you what you're doing doesn't work. I know you don't like Trump, but Trump got it right when it came to remain in Mexico. His policies secured our border. You've repealed all those policies. We're having more people come here illegally than exist in the state of Vermont.
Anytime someone says the words Trump got it right, one of those hooks should come from off the stage and just drag them off.
Securing the border and bringing law and order back to America.
Looney Tunes style.
And the only way you're going to do that, Senator Sanders...
I guess that harkens back to vaudeville.
...that you've charted for America, because it is not working.
Well, let's talk about gas prices, because you're right. They are outrageously high in Vermont. They're now filled up the other day, $5.05 a gallon. Meanwhile, the major oil companies made $35 billion in profit in the first quarter of this year.
Did you see that wind up? He's like, I know I got the Trump card here.
$1 billion in stock buybacks to their wealthy shareholders. So I do think we have to do something about the outrageously high price of gas. I think the president should bring the major oil companies in and tell them we're going to have a windfall profits tax on what they're doing in order to stop them from ripping off the American people. You know, the last time that oil prices were at $118 a barrel, which is what they are right now, roughly speaking, average gasoline prices at the pump were $3.83, not over $5 a gallon.
He may still be president. He is talking like a man who is still running for president.
And Russia oil and the stopping of oil. I think what the oil companies are doing is taking advantage of that situation and raising prices to an outrageous level, which is hurting the American working family. But the issue goes beyond oil. The issue goes to healthcare. You talked about the cost of healthcare. I am sure you know that in the United States, Lindsay, we spend twice as much per capita on healthcare as do the people of any other country. While major countries like Canada, the UK, Germany manage to provide healthcare to all of their people. Why is that? Because they're not having oil companies, they're not having insurance companies ripping off the system. What we need to do right now...
Oil companies and insurance companies, they're all working together.
Right. We're in a lot of...
All the fat cats.
All over this country, Vermont, South Carolina, all over this country, people are hurting. But what we don't need right now is demagoguery. What we need is thoughtful solutions to the major crises that we face. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what we need is a government that represents all of us and not just wealthy, powerful, special interests. So that is what I am working on. What I believe, you talk about, will Medicare pass on the floor of the Senate tomorrow? No, it will not. But the real question is not whether it passes or not, it's what the American people want. And you know what the American people do want? They do want Medicare for all. You talk about the joys and beauties of private insurance. Talk to the millions of workers who lost their private insurance during COVID. So I think it is time for the working families of this country to stand up, demand a government represents all, not just the few.
So I'm calling on Senator Schumer to bring Medicare for all to the floor of the Senate sooner rather than later so we can vote on it. Because if the American people want it, and those people who vote against it should lose their job. That's the way it works. So in terms of your proposal for Medicare for all, I am challenging you and your party who run the Senate to bring it to the floor for a vote. And we'll see where the votes are. Now let's go back to gas prices. How did we go from energy independence to where we are now? Policy matters. During the campaign in 2020, President Biden and Senator Sanders.
It is complicated to explain how we became energy independent for like that one fucking year.
Shut it down. No fracking, shut down production. Let me tell you about oil prices. Supply, demand. It was $2.38 a gallon, price of gasoline, before COVID hit. We went into lockdown because we had to. It went to $1.77. Now, nobody was saying give the oil companies a subsidy when it was $1.77.
We already give them subsidies. We already give them subsidies.
What's happened between then and now? The policies you pursued in terms of energy production has decreased production in the United States in a very dramatic way. You took oil leases off the table, $45 billion tax on energy production. You shut down the Keystone Pipeline. You took the 10 billion acres that Trump put into production out of production, and you're wondering what happened to gas prices. What happened to gas prices, you declared war on fossil fuels in the United States, and when you go to the pump, you're a victim of that war. Well, let's change that. Let's get back to a rational energy policy.
Why do we always have to frame everything as if it's a war?
Let's cut Putin off at the knees. Let's find alternatives to Russian oil and gas. It's not the oil companies that are driving these prices. They want to produce more, they just can't. It's not Russia. It's 8% of the oil we use. It is the policies of this administration.
But as Bernie pointed out, they're making record profits.
Is to destroy fossil fuel production in America, and they're on track to do that. And folks, if you want to lower gas and oil prices, vote Republican to see if we can find a few Democrats will go back to increased production in America so that we can lower gas prices in a way that works. All I can tell you is in terms of getting sick in America, more people come to America for health care than they go anywhere else.
It's always the same goddamn argument. Mick Jagger came here for back surgery.
Senator Sanders, 4 minutes for a closing statement here on this section 1.
Senator Graham talks about the need for more oil production. And that's just what the oil companies really want to do. Really?
Yeah, yes.
They plan to provide $88 billion, not for new oil production, but for stock buybacks that go to the wealthiest people in the country, people who own their shares. As a nation, I think the time is very long overdue for us to have the courage to do something which is not easy. And that is to take on the people who contribute to Senator.
We can totally count rich people as we're sending them to the gallows.
The people on top.
God, is that terms of service?
This terrible pandemic, which took 1 million lives, where millions of people are suffering with long COVID, where, as Lindsay says, our doctors and nurses performed absolutely heroically. And during that period, you know what else happened? The billionaires in this country saw a $2 trillion increase in their wealth.
Yep.
That's the people who own the oil companies, people who own the insurance companies, people who own the drug companies, people who own the major Wall Street firms.
Rich people aren't real people.
Right now, it's the kind of envision the society we want.
That means you can eat them, right? Because they're not real people.
Do we think that as a nation, all people are entitled to health care? I do.
Yes,
Is that a radical idea?
I think so.
It exists 50 miles away from where I live in Canada, which spends half as much on health care but guarantees health care to all people.
That was not the Atlanta Braves
Not a radical idea.
really racist
Is
motion
it a
I was
radical
doing.
idea to negotiate
Mine represented something
prices,
else.
have Medicare negotiate prescription drug prices? Of course it's not a radical idea. Why aren't we doing it? Because the pharmaceutical industry has endless amounts of money to buy politicians, to lobby, and to make campaign contributions. Is it a radical idea to say that every kid in this country, no matter where they live, has the right to get a higher education? I don't think so. Other countries around the world already do that.
I think they have a right to get higher while they get a higher education.
Virtually nothing. So
Remember,
I
kids,
believe that we should make public colleges and
shoot
universities
up drugs,
tuition free.
not schools.
Let's deal with the issue of guns. And we are in a chamber today
The
named
great transition, wasn't it, Bernie?
two brothers, John and Bobby, were gunned down. And that is, the time is again long overdue. For the people.
Oh, he's talking about the Kennedys, John and Bobby Kennedy.
The Congress is prepared to do that.
I was,
To stand up to the power of the.
guys, I was like, who is John and Bobby? When was John and Bobby shot down? Was this a recent story that I missed? Who's this John and Bobby he's referring to? He meant Kennedy. John and Bobby Kennedy. They're at the Kennedy Center. If you're just joining us, this is the debate between Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Lindsey Graham. It happened last night on Fox Nation.
NRA and pass real gun reform legislation. Now, we've seen some progress in recent weeks. We'll see how that plays out. A modest step forward, but we have got to go further. Are we comfortable living in a nation where anybody can walk into a gun store today and come out with an AR-15?
Lindsey Graham doesn't look comfortable, period.
People in a military fashion. Are we designed with people able to buy high-capacity ammunition magazines? Are we satisfied with a situation where somebody can go to a gun show and not have a background check? So the time now is
You get your tickets
our children
to the gun show.
all of us to pass serious gun safety legislation and have the courage to stand up to the NRA. The bottom line is, Lindsey talks about votes in the Senate, and he's right. Senate and the House are pretty conservative institutions. Poll after poll show they are not representing where the American people are. Our job is to create a government and elected officials who are prepared to stand up against wealthy campaign contributors and fight for ordinary Americans. Thanks.
Thank you. I want to remind you again that your government is run by Democrats. Now, that doesn't mean that we've got all the answers to Republicans.
Boy, does he think that that's a winning
The people
argument.
in charge of your government are not going to vote on things that Bernie thinks will fix the problem. Why? Because they don't want to vote on these ideas, because they won't fix the problem. So here's the point.
We got too many baby boomer fucking neoliberals,
In Washington,
conservative
run the
Democrats that
place.
are standing in the way,
because the answer to America's problems, Senator Sanders,
taking that
is not more
sweet
social.
campaign money.
Your own message. What time is it? It's time to raise taxes on the rich. You're completely
It's
on
Vader
message.
time.
Why do we have such a problem at the border, Senator Sanders? Is because policy matters.
I think we all needed a burn
2 million people
cleanse.
will come across this country illegally. Only God knows how many we will miss. It's a complete.
I don't think that's how the
accident
song
waiting to
goes.
happen down there. We went from having a secure border.
I ain't listened to no fucking Kid Rock in a long time.
We changed our laws so we could have control, and it's all gone away. Folks, If you don't change who's running Washington, the worst is yet to come when it comes to illegal immigration. Gas prices.
He thinks this is a campaign event for 2020. I guess it is.
Prices are so high is because the policies they've imposed are not working for you. This is a painful transition, as described with President Biden. Their goal
I'm still asking
is to
what
drive
policies.
fossil fuels into extinction in the United States. We're talking about getting Iran to produce more gas, Venezuela to produce more gas, the Arabs to produce more gas, to lower prices here. We should be producing.
Biden's still making his trip to Saudi Arabia. What the fuck?
They're in a business. The reason they're not producing more is because it's impossible to produce more under this administration. And if Bernie was in charge and people like him, it'd get worse, not better. All I can say is that gas prices are going through the roof, and nothing.
Well, here, no. The people that are in charge are more like you than they are Bernie. So if you think that the people in charge are doing a bad job, putting you in charge would make things worse, not better.
We went from being energy independent to having to mortgage your house to fill up your car. How the hell did that happen? It happened because of policy. You got a chance to fix this, American people, and I would ask you to fix it. Put Republicans in charge of
Putting that point out there.
to stop this craziness.
Lindsey Graham pointing
And see
at
if we
you.
can find a path forward
You've got a chance to fix
22
this.
to 24 to get things back to more normal. People out there, Senator Sanders, are living in hell. $600 a month due to inflation, and wages are not going up. America deserves better than this. We can do better than this. But the path charted by Senator Sanders,
I agree, and I think
socialism,
Bernie is better than this. Oh, he's laughing it off.
full-on, unequivocal socialism from cradle to grave. That's not going
You
to
know what that word means, Lindsey Graham.
Socialist nation. There is a better way. And I'll promise you this. If I'm chairman of any committee, particularly the budget committee, if we take
God help us all if you're the chairman.
Democrats and Republicans to find a way to fix our national debt, which is appalling, something like Simpson Bowles, not socialism.
And it's the Republicans that ballooned the debt this last time.
If you will, come join us at these desks. We'll make a transition to the seated, moderated section, and we'll go deeper into some of the discussions you've talked about gas prices, health care, immigration.
The seated, moderated section. This thing is only like an hour long, so this can't be that long. Okay, there's about 40 more minutes. The arm wrestling portion. I mean, the music is thrilling. I'm digging it. This is totally going to get me. But like Fox Nation is going to claim my video.
Broad discussion on the biggest domestic issues facing the economy, including overall all aspects of the.
This dude kind of looks like Henry Winkler behind him, giving me like a Henry Winkler vibe. Really, freaking me out over here.
Economy, a lot that touches.
Shouldn't you be like in the bushes outside of a elementary school,
for
sir?
most Americans, because they see it every day. They're going up. They're on the rise. Some of the highest we've seen as of yet. Senator Sanders, President Biden has said recently that this is, and Senator Graham mentioned it, part of a giant transition for the U.S. economy. Is pain
We're in a paradigm shift.
part of that transition to a greener economy?
Well, let me say this, that in terms of inflation, as I'm sure you know, we're looking at an international phenomenon. Germany is the powerhouse of Europe. Their inflation rate, I believe, is 7.8%. UK, somewhat similar. We're a little bit higher than that. So what we're looking at right now, for a variety of reasons, including COVID and breaking of supply chains having to do with China and elsewhere, and I think the greed of corporate America, you add all that stuff together, we're looking at...
Do all Northerners say China?
Now, what I happen to believe, Brett, I think it is totally irresponsible for us to ignore what scientists call the existential threat to climate change. I think we've got to go forward in two ways. I think we can create millions of jobs transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. And I think at the same time, I think the president has got to call those oil companies, those executives into the Oval Office and say, stop ripping off the American people. You can make some money, but you don't have to see a tripling of your profits over last year. You don't have to see 35.
Oh no, if it's something like oil, they shouldn't even make any money off of it. We should nationalize it because, like, how does somebody own the fucking oil in the ground, the coal? That doesn't make any fucking sense. That should all be like part of the commons.
Who cannot afford to pay $5 for a gallon of gas. That's the dilemma, and that's the way we've got to go forward.
Senator Graham, to Senator Sanders' point, is there some corporate greed and profit?
Did he say Senator Sanders porn?
You said it was bull up there, but do you think there's any part of that, to Senator Sanders' point?
Thank you. I think it's supply and demand.
Point. Okay, point.
We were locked down right after COVID hit in 2020. We all went into a lockdown. Gas went to $1.77 a gallon because all of us were home. We weren't working. We were locked down to try to protect each other. The economy is coming back. It was at $2.38 when President Biden took over. What's happened in the last 2 years?
Does Lindsey Graham look a little puffy?
Their campaign agenda was to destroy fossil fuel production. It's not gas companies not wanting to produce more oil and gas. It's the policies have made that almost impossible here at home. Russia, which is invading Ukraine, and one thing...
You just want to slap those jaws around.
So... And
I assume you concede that point?
I'm not in favor of the vulgarity, but the intent is correct.
All right. Putin's a bad guy. Yeah, there we go. I'll use the other word. The bottom line is people know when they go to the pump it doesn't have to be this way. I don't see anything changing until you change leadership. It's not the oil companies, it's the policies that's put us out of the fossil fuel business. Some ray of hope. I'm believing.
When was the government ever in the fossil fuel business?
That greenhouse gas effect is real. We're going to electrify the transportation fleet by the mid-2030, 2040, somewhere in that time period. Most cars on the road will be electric. Until we get there, there's no reason to drive this generation of Americans into poverty by going to the pump. You have to do two things at once. You have to deal with the economy you have today, increase oil and gas production, reverse the policies on the Keystone Pipeline, get oil from Canada.
That's 3.
Better to get oil from Canada than it is from the Mideast.
That's 4. You said 2 things.
Production here, but as we phase into electric vehicles, and
Sir, you definitely are a product of the South Carolina education system. You cannot count.
The transition fuel will be gas. We should be sending American-owned natural gas to Europe.
It can't be the transition fuel if it's the thing you're transitioning off of.
American natural gas production to help ourselves, but also to help our friends in Europe so they'd be less dependent on Putin. So my energy strategy is national.
Now he's talking about fracking, which has a whole host of environmental issues that come with it.
Who would be the
It causes earthquakes. You can light your goddamn water on fire.
So let's get to that better day. Let's don't do it this way. You're doing it in a way that's destroying the American economy. The average American is going to be spending $500 more to fuel their car this year than last. And the inflation in this country is caused by bad policy choices. And it's not going to change until you get new people in charge in Washington. Vote Republican in 2022.
Senator Sanders.
If I could.
Yep.
What Lindsey is not dealing with is
mostly his neck in this debate.
Is not just Joe Biden's issue. You have to explain why it takes place around the world, and that has to do with supply chains the terrible war in Ukraine, and in my view, corporate greed. Lindsay
Corporate fucking greed. I would say that's number one.
Just tied up. They just cannot produce more oil. But apparently,
Am I high enough
they got
for this
$88
shit?
billion this year to give stock buybacks. In other words, they have the money to invest in new oil production if they chose to do that. Now, Lindsay also makes the point that, you know, we've got to move to electric vehicles, and I certainly support that. The problem is, Lindsay,
Didn't Lindsay make that point?
we are in a moment of
Lindsey Graham said, like, we're going to move to electric cars in the mid-2030s and the mid-2040s, maybe. Sounded to me like he was saying long after he's dead and buried in the ground, we're going to move to electric vehicles. I'm going to make sure it happens after I'm dead. Just pointing that out. Bernie gave him way too much credit with that.
what's the word that I can use? I guess the scientists use it, existential, all right? We're seeing temperature rise all over the world. That means more drought, less food production. It means more flooding. It means more migration because people around the world are not going to be able to grow the food or get the water that they need, more disease. So this is not saying, well, you know, it's a good idea.
And, you know, that's something I haven't even factored into, you know, the migration issue with people coming across the border is that, like, it's just getting hotter in places and they're wanting to move north. That makes perfect fucking sense, and we're going to see more of it. I've been wanting to I've been trying to get Sparkles to move to Anchorage. We started Northern Exposure.
Toward energy efficiency and sustainable energy? No. We have to do it right now if we love our children and our grandchildren. And the challenge that we have is, how do you do it without forcing working people to pay $5 for a gallon of gas? I think we could do it, but it's not either or.
So that's back to my original question. Do you think that the high price of gas speeds up that transition in your mind and worth the price that it costs?
No, that's not
to
what
get
I'm saying, Brett.
No, I know it's not, but I'm just trying to get to how you do it.
No, I think what we have got to do is, and of course, build back better. You know, Lindsay's here beating up on the president all the time. We passed, in terms of the American Rescue Plan, we passed a $1.9 trillion piece of legislation, which went a long way. You know, let's remember where we were in the midst of the pandemic. Massive unemployment. People, thousands of people dying every single day. And we passed legislation which said, we are your working family, you're hurting, we're going to get a check to you. You're unemployed, we're going to extend unemployment benefits. You're a hospital that's going broke, we're going to get money to you. You need a vaccine, but you can't get it, we're going to make it possible for you to get it. We're going to improve schools to deal with the pandemic. We passed that. The president deserves credit for that. But again, in terms of high energy prices, we have got to do a lot more here in the United States.
Bernie is coming out of his fucking chair.
You know, the Republicans were in power. You know, they had a great...
Couldn't have made the man sit down.
...breaks to the richest people in this country. And I think Lindsay voted to throw 32 million Americans off of the health insurance that they have. Great record. Massive income and wealth inequality growth. So we have to be thoughtful about how we go forward. But beating up on the president is just not good enough.
Let's try to get to something you both agree on. You have voted similarly on trade issues before. When it comes to lifting tariffs on China, I assume you're both in the no category. Is that fair?
It depends. If it's for solar...
I've got a cat.
I would support it. We need to get more solar paneling into this country. But I don't know Lindsay's record on this. I have, over the years, in the House and in the Senate,
I have been fighting the same fight for most of my life.
Democrats and Republicans, Clinton and
In
Bush,
terms of politics, it has been the same goddamn fight over and over again.
workers, yeah, we're
And
going
I've watched the same motherfuckers be wrong about everything and fail upwards. It's very discouraging.
and then move to China or Mexico. I thought then that was a disaster. I believe now that has been a disaster.
Senator Graham?
Yeah, I'd be very reluctant. I think the tariffs imposed on China basically levels the field because they cheat. So one reason that Mexico decided to keep illegal immigrants in Mexico until their court date would come at the United States regarding asylum is that Trump threatened to put tariffs on products coming out of Mexico. And that actually worked because
it may already be too hot to live in some places. We watched that dude cook a burger in his car yesterday in Arizona.
Spending to help with COVID. It rocked the world. A million people lost their lives, doctors and nurses. We've all gone through hell. But the American Rescue Plan, according to Larry Summers, not Lindsey Graham, was ill-conceived and ill-designed, and he said would do more to spark inflation than any policy initiative.
He said he recommended it. He said it was like he got a good char on it.
Last year, he was right. 9% of the $1.9 trillion went to vaccines and testing. $5 million went to this place, and I love this place. Pickleball courts. There's still $200 or $300 billion left unspent. Everything Larry Summers said about the American Rescue Plan, increasing inflation, happened. The reason we can't find baby formula is our policy.
I mean, they attack the place that's hosting them and then pan out to show their fucking.
The reason gas prices.
What do you call that on the ceiling?
Senator Sanders, you took out of production 10 million acres that were.
What the fuck is pickleball?
You shut down the Keystone Pipeline. Your policies are leading to a surge in gas prices with no end to them. So all I can suggest to the American people, this inflationary death spiral we're in is being driven by policies that don't work.
What is pickleball?
Have we said anything about how to control?
Do you know what it is?
Is there a solution in the making?
Well, I've got the internet in front of me.
It's too late. This is why when you vote in 2022, I hope you'll realize that the course we're on.
He's really on message when it comes to that.
Dangerous for this country in multiple ways.
Hold on. We're about pickleball. We gonna learn you today about the pickleball. We're gonna find out what this fucking pickleball is.
I'm Matt Goebel, and I'm here to talk to you guys about pickleball. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. It was invented.
This looks like some tennis shit to me. Hipster tennis. Sparkles has the paddle. She's been playing some pickleball.
Invented by three dads on Bainbridge Island back in 1965. It's a combination of tennis, ping pong, and badminton. It's played on a badminton-sized court with a net about 2 inches shorter than a tennis net. You play it with a paddle a little bit bigger than a ping pong paddle and a little more durable wiffle ball. You can play it as either doubles or singles. So singles is one-on-one, doubles is a combination of two teams, 2-on-2. It's growing for a number of reasons. It's a lot easier on the body, and it's a lot easier to pick.
Ooh, I wouldn't be able to. I almost can't stand it just because it's called pickleball.
Pickleball, you can walk onto a court, pick up a paddle, and within 5 minutes of learning how to play, you can be playing a competitive game with your friends. It's a really fast-paced sport, which takes advantage of your quick hands and reflexes, but it's also strategic. It's like a chess match on a court. Pickleball is a great word.
We were watching a Bernie Sanders Lindsey Graham debate. How did pickleball even come up? What was he talking about? Oh. There is a pickleball court in the event center that they were in where they rebuilt a replica of the Senate. It's crazy. It's the Kennedy Center is where this debate took place last night on Fox News. I had to be jarred back into reality.
You're really close to your opponents and your partner, which allows for more of a social environment on and
It's only Spoots Graham stuff. Did he play the pickleball?
All year round. If you want to learn more about pickleball and how to play,
I don't want to learn more about pickleball. Gore d'Orleans, like, isn't that the place where the Proud Boys were arrested? This is back in 2017. They play the pickleball in Idaho, apparently.
Talk about it.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
When we talk about voting in 2022, obviously my hope is you will not follow Senator Graham's advice. I have a lot of problems with the Democrats, but
You're
they
not?
are superior to where the Republicans are. And let me give you an example.
I got a lot of problems with you people. You're getting ready to hear about them. Oh, I fucking love you, Bernie.
When we talk about major crises, I think many leading political scientists will tell you that right now we're looking, for the first time in my lifetime, and yours, at a real threat to the existence of democracy in America. And you know why? Because we have a former president, whose name is Donald Trump, who goes around the country telling people, hey, I won the election. In fact, I probably won it by a landslide, but they stole it. They took it away from me. All right? Now, that happens to be what we call a big lie. And yet many of the Republicans that Senator Graham are asking you to vote for are maintaining that big lie. What does that mean? It goes beyond Trump. It goes beyond the 2020 election. It means what they are saying is the entire system, you can't trust anybody. And if you can't trust the election results, then what is the obvious alternative? We need a strong man, all right? Conservatives went to, I think it was Hungary, to meet with Mr. Orban, who runs an authoritarian-type society. So the struggle we're facing is not just...
They held CPAC in Hungary.
Which we do. It is the future of American democracy, and whether we
we're not talking about your daddy's Hungary, where like Michael Jackson went and had this awesome concert.
Quickly, can you address that, Senator?
Trump lost the election.
Can you address that, Senator? I mean, can you say definitively the election was not stolen?
Yeah, I voted to certify the election. There was some mail-in balloting chicanery out there, but no, I voted to certify the election.
Oh, I thought he was going to say shenanigans.
And whether
Did he win the election?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about all of the candidates out there who are trying to say that he didn't? Your Republican candidates that you want people to vote for?
Well, what about the people saying defund the police? You talk to them, I'll talk to that crowd.
But your crowd is a lot larger than my crowd.
So here's the point. Why is
Like defund the police is a legitimate policy position. Look at fucking Uvalde and how the police did fucking nothing.
Gas prices. It's always somebody else. It's the oil companies. It's the drug companies. These policies are not working, Senators. Whether you like President Trump or not, he secured our border. We had the lowest illegal immigrant crossings in 40 years because he got Mexico and the...
We don't like him, Lindsey.
Not work against us. He took on China for the first time, literally in my lifetime. We were energy independent because he put in production, more acreage. He allowed us to drill responsibly in Anwar, and he approved the Keystone Pipeline. The Arabs and the Israelis were working together under his leadership, called the Abraham Accords. We replaced the USMCA, NAFTA with the USMCA.
What he is talking about is the normalization of relations with like the UAE.
What's going on now? You may
so that we could sell arms to them.
American people. If you don't change who's running your government, things are going to get dramatically worse at the border. Gas prices are going to continue to skyrocket.
Did we go backwards, or is he just repeating the same thing he said fucking 5 minutes ago?
Are never going to work. That doesn't mean we've got...
Lindsey Graham is out of talking points, and he's just saying the same thing over and over again.
Is being paved as I speak, and the worst is yet to come. Vote Republican in 2020.
Right. You know, Senator Sanders, you chuckled before when Senator Graham mentioned socialism.
Yes.
And you kind of
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Right. And so I want to let you deal with that about directly
I understand
socialism.
we could do red baiting. I guess it works among a certain part of the population.
Well, you're a socialist, aren't you?
I am a democratic socialist.
Okay, I'm
and
sorry.
the policies that I advocate are taking place all over the world. So I would like to ask Senator Graham, do you think raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour is socialistic? Do you think doing what every other major country on earth...
In lieu of doing the news tonight, because I was a lazy bitch today, we are watching a Fox Nation exclusive that took place last night. It was Bernie Sanders taking on Lindsey Graham in a debate. And so far, I mean, Bernie has won, right? I believe it's just been dunk after dunk after dunk by Bernie on Lindsey Graham. We still got about 20 minutes left.
Is socialistic. Do you think expanding Medicare to cover dental care is quite socialistic? Do you think in terms of Social Security, you know, you're on the Budget Committee, we just had a hearing about this. Lindsay and I disagree on this. I think we should increase benefits for Social Security recipients by lifting the cap, which is now at $147,000. So a millionaire pays the same amount as somebody making $147,000. Lift that cap, we can increase Social Security benefits by $200 a month for every beneficiary in America. Is that socialistic? Is making sure that all of our kids are able to get a higher education. Is that socialistic? Is saying that
Lindsay looks really uncomfortable.
Should not control $20 trillion in assets. We got to break them up. Is that socialistic? Is saying that CEOs should not make 350 times what their workers make. So, you know, I understand that certain words will have an impact on certain parts of our country. But take a look at the issues that we are fighting for on every one of those issues. Lindsay, guess what? American people support me, not you.
Okay, let's talk about that. How do you solve problems? We're in the Ted Kennedy Orrin Hatch world. All I can say about your Social Security plan, you want to
Ted Kennedy is dead. Orrin Hatch is dead too, isn't he?
When I was 21, my mom died. When I was 22, my dad died. I had a 13-year-old sister. We moved in with an aunt and uncle who worked in the textile plants. My world.
Yeah, he died earlier this year in April.
Coming into my family.
Orrin Grant Hatch.
As a minor, we'd had a hard time making it. I'm 66. I'm not married. I'm part of the problem. We need more kids out there. When in 1955, there were 9 workers paying into the system, 9 workers for every.
Did he just come out of the closet? I'm not married. I don't have children. I'm part of the problem. You know, maybe you should adopt, sir. You and your partner.
One, my mom died. When I was 22, my dad died. I had a 13-year-old sister. We moved in with an aunt and uncle who worked in the textile plants. My world was rocked. If it hadn't been for survivor benefits coming into my family, because my sister was a minor, we'd had a hard time making it. I'm 66. I'm not married. I'm part of the problem.
Wait. Was his sister like she was mining coal? She was underage, not mining. She wasn't mining coal. I don't know. It's South Carolina. Lindsey Graham is fucking 70-something years old. So his sister could have totally been a coal miner. Come on. Things were different back in those days. I've heard the stories.
Not you.
Okay, let's talk about that. How do you solve problems? We're in the Ted Kennedy Orrin Hatch world. All I can say about.
He's only 66.
Increase benefits when the
program's
going broke.
My bad.
When I was 21, my mom died. When I was 22, my dad died. I had a 13-year-old sister. We moved in with an aunt and uncle who worked in the textile plants. My world was rocked. If it hadn't been for survivor benefits coming into my family, because my sister was a minor, we'd had a hard time making it. I'm 66. I'm not married. I'm part of the problem. We need more kids out there. When in 1955, there were 9 workers paying into the system, 9 workers for every retiree. We're down to 3. 20 years, it'd be 2. Let's do something like Ted Kennedy would do. Get Republicans and Democrats to find a way, like the Gang of Six, the Simpson-Bowles plan. Senator Sanders, bring your Social Security plan to the floor. All it does is raise taxes. To get out of this mess, people like me are going to have to take a little less and pay a little more in. We're going to have to adjust the age one more time like Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill did. There is a bipartisan way forward. But you describe problems, but your answer is always the government. It's always socialism.
Social
Let's do
Security
Medicare
is a
for all.
government program. I'm sorry about it.
Senator Sanders, your Medicare for All program eliminates private sector health care. It's a $40 trillion revenue increase. It will cost more to maintain Medicare for All than the entire federal government today. There has to be some sense of responsibility here. You just can't tax people into oblivion and turn every problem over to the government.
Okay, let's respond. And I'm glad it's a good discussion. Thank you, Brett. Okay, Social Security.
A good discussion.
Lindsay and I are on the Budget Committee.
Right.
Love him.
What you forgot to tell people, Lindsay, you're right. Social Security has a solvency issue. What the actuaries say, we want 75 years of funding coming into Social Security to maintain it for 75 years. What I advocated does that.
Let's vote.
Because it is let's vote on it.
Let's
fine,
vote
I'm
on
for
it.
voting
Bring it
on
to
it.
the floor.
Thank you for the bits, Sky
They
comment.
think it makes sense that somebody who makes $1 million a year or $10 million a year or $100 million a year pays the same amount into Social Security. Somebody makes $147,000.
Let's vote on it.
Let's ask them. You know what? The polling has already given us the answer. They think it is.
Why aren't we voting on it? I mean,
all right, well, let me ask a different way,
this is
Senator
fun,
Sanders. Let me ask you a
It
different.
is fun.
Let me ask. Hold on.
Because his
It's
plan.
fun.
Vote on it. Nobody's going to
I
vote on
want to
it.
vote on it. I'm
Well,
happy to
you're in
vote on
charge.
it.
Let's vote.
Okay.
Could I get the Senate Sergeant at Arms here? No, I'm sorry.
The Senate Sergeant at Arms. Brett Bear's got
National debt,
jokes.
Senator Sanders stands at more than $30 trillion. That's 133% of GDP, gross
He
domestic.
looks nice. I like that tie.
Americans care about that.
Yes.
Is that a problem long term?
Yes, it is. It is, and it's something we want to deal with. Now, what Lindsay says, which is the Republican line, Social Security, Medicare for all, going to raise your taxes. You know what? It will. But you know what else it's going to do? You ain't going to have to pay a nickel in premiums, a nickel in co-payments, a nickel in deductibles. And if you are the average family out there, or the average small business, or in fact, the average corporation, you are going to save money. Now, Lindsay apparently thinks that people just love paying money to the insurance companies. Average family, average
Lady B.
Lindsay, $12,000 a year. Insurance companies making huge profits. So if I go to the American people and I say, hey, Brett, guess what? You're going to pay more. You're going to pay $5,000 more in taxes, but you're going to pay $8,000 less in premiums, deductibles, and co-payments. Now, I know he works for Fox. Maybe he can't say it. But most people would say, Bernie, that's a pretty good deal.
Ooh.
And you're guaranteeing.
That's a burn.
Senator, I was waiting for the Fox.
All right.
Yeah, I was waiting.
I could have
was
been
waiting
worse. I
for
could have
it.
been.
Okay. Let's see if we can get to something you all agree on. Is there a common ground on any issue?
Sure.
This should be good.
Can see eye to eye on, and what is that?
Well, I don't know if, I'm on the Budget Committee with Bernie, and it's been a blast. Listen, I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Now, if I get to be chairman, vote Republican 2022, we're going to have
You've said that a few times,
approach.
Senator.
Yeah. So I'm going to call, remember Simpson Bowles guys, those guys? I'm going to call him in and say, okay, what would you advise us to do when it comes to saving Social Security? In 2034, if nothing changes, they can only pay 77% of the benefits because there are less people working and more people retired and they're living longer. So we all got this kind. Medicare is hanging by a thread. 2028, Part A begins to go bankrupt. There's things we can do. Here's where I think upper income Americans, like both of us, I am willing to take less from Social Security. I'm willing to have a different COLA and reshape my benefits. I'm willing to pay into more into Part A and B. I shouldn't be getting a subsidy because I'm doing pretty well. That kind of approach, Brett, entitlements are going to consume the budget. Right now, we're at 2050.
I hate means testing.
Of debt to GDP.
It always ends up hurting poor people.
Programs are worth saving are going to consume the debt. We're down to a small fraction of the federal pie to run the discretionary part of government. So entitlement reform is a must for us to not become Greece. So I'd like to work with Bernie to see if I can let's raise the cap, okay, 147, let's raise it. If you raise it to 190,000, you capture 90% of most wages in the country. Let's look at maybe adjusting the age one more time if we need to. Let's look at having a COLA for people 80 in the lower income brackets better than what I would get. Let's shift some of the
You
burden
keep saying colon.
from people who can afford to shift to some.
What's a
that
colon?
to
And
get
what
through
does
the
it? Well, I mean, I don't know what a
baby
colon
boom
is.
I'm
What does it
really
have to do
in
with this
finding a
issue?
solution to entitlement reform. I'd like I'm talking too much. I'll turn it over. Energy production. We can have a lower carbon economy
Always Coca-Cola.
this way.
Okay, Lindsay
Beverage.
raised some good questions. Now,
Cola.
everybody understands. When Lindsay talks about entitlement reform, what he's talking about is cutting benefits and raising the retirement age. Talks about Simpson Bowles. I oppose Simpson Bowles.
The soda,
because
the
that
sody
is
pop.
what they wanted to do. So here is the alternative on this one. At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, where people on the top are doing phenomenally well, yes, Lindsay, they're going to have to pay more in taxes so that somebody earning the average Social Security benefit of $15,000 a year gets a break. Okay? So I think you should lift the cap completely. You'll make Social Security solvent for 75 years, solve the legitimate issue you raised. Yes.
Lindsey Graham would enjoy his colonoscopy. Look at him. He is a bottom. He is a sloppy party bottom.
Okay? So I think you should lift the cap completely. You'll make Social Security solvent for 75 years, solve the legitimate issue you raised. And yes, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk will pay a lot more in taxes.
Well, that's
So on the
So what? Now, I want to say on Medicare, 1 minute.
On the common ground question.
Yeah.
I didn't get it out of that answer.
Well, what you got is that he sees it as a problem. I see it as a problem. All right? Medicare. I see Medicare solvency as a problem.
Do you think anybody invites Lindsey Graham to the cocaine-fueled
Twice as much
orgies?
per person on health care as any other country on earth, so that the insurance companies and drug companies don't continue to make huge profits. So I'd ask my friend, do you think it makes sense, Lindsay?
Bernie Sanders is the angry old man we
Uninsured
need.
and underinsured at the same time as insurance companies make huge profits and we spend twice as much as any other country on healthcare. Does that make sense to you? Is that a system that is worth defending?
I think here's the first thing I won't do. I will not take your private health care away from you unless you want it taken away yourself. His solution to your health care problem is to take away from you the health care you have today in the private sector. There are 200 million people below 65 that are insured in the private sector. I'd like to make it more efficient. I'd like to cover more people. When it comes to Medicare, we all get in the system.
Doubt, Lindsey Graham, doubt.
Medicare for all. He's going to invite hundreds of millions of people, tens of millions of people into the system who hadn't paid a dime. Medicare is hanging by a thread now. I guess the difference between Bernie and myself is that I know there is no way in hell
There are a lot of differences between the two of you.
or Social Security with the Republicans. I've got to give some. I'm willing to raise the cap. I'm willing to get people to pay more into the system. But we live in a global economy, folks. We had a 35% corporate rate. It went to 21. We're the highest in the developed world. Companies can leave America and go somewhere else. Tax policy matters. We can create tax systems in this country to drive people away. We can create tax systems in this country to incentivize job growth.
All right.
Final thought. Bipartisanship is the only way to solve these problems. Take your bills.
You guys won't vote for anything. There is no bipartisanship to be had.
No bipartisan support.
Okay, there is.
Also, since you guys are on the topic in chat, Lady B, did you change your Twitter handle? Because I didn't know who was talking to me, and I think it's you, but I'm not exactly sure. Completely change your Twitter handle and profile picture and everything, because What's up, Star Craving? You came right at the ass end of the debate between Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Lindsey Graham on Fox Nation. We got about 5 or 6 minutes left of it.
There's a bipartisan agreement currently on gun control legislation. 10 senators on the Republican side have signed on. Senator Graham, you're one of them. It's in formulation. The legislation is being written, but it deals with mental health, advocating for red flag laws, tightening background checks, licensed firearm dealers.
Tightening buttholes.
Senator Sanders,
That's
you're
my
not
policy if I ever run for office. Tightening buttholes.
Issue around the edges that don't deal with everything you want that you all can get to.
Right. Look, if that bill, and you're right, it hasn't been written yet. We have an outline of it.
It was me working on your butthole.
Would I vote for it? I'm quite sure I would. Does it go anywhere near far enough? No, it does not. It is a step forward.
Are you permanently suspended from Twitter?
Far enough. And as a nation, and again, as I said, I come from a rural state.
Our butthole.
Most people do not use AR-15s to hunt deer. These are weapons, these are military-type weapons designed to kill people as quickly.
Apparently, some people use
and as a nation,
AR-15s to hunt prairie dogs,
appropriate.
which are super fucking cute.
You know what a major country does? Allow somebody to walk into a gun store and buy one of these weapons and then come out, and if they're suicidal or homicidal or whatever they may be, just mow people down. And the tragedies we've seen recently.
Suicidal, homicidal, genocidal, sabu.
Just horrible beyond words. So those are the decisions. I think this is a start, but I believe we have to go much, much further.
Senator, a closing statement here as we're coming to the end of this segment. And
this is the end.
I'm not sure we really got there, but there's promise, right, Senator?
No comment.
I know how you feel, Lady B.
So let me tell you what I think the common ground is, what we've done in the past. Senator Kennedy worked on a comprehensive immigration bill with me and others, and I wish we'd have passed it because most of these problems have gone away. He worked with President Bush on No Child Left Behind. There's a model here that works. Listen, I admire Senator Sanders. He is on message. He's got solutions. I don't think they'll work. I've never had such a hard time begging somebody to vote on their own bill. The bottom line is there are ways forward, but it's going to be a bipartisan path. That's the way it's been in the past, the way it will be in the future, and I stand ready to do that. But we need to stop this madness. What's going on in Washington needs to stop, and these people in charge need to be told no, because your family life's going to get worse unless we do. Let's talk about guns. We've made some news here today. Senator Sanders says he'd be open-minded, depending on how it's written, to the package we've negotiated. That's a big deal, because it's not what he would want.
I got a package you can negotiate.
Things in there that you'd want that we can't put in the package for different, because other people don't want them. So the fact that Bernie's willing, Brett, maybe to vote for this is very encouraging to me. We'll see how it shakes out. And what happened here? You know, after New York...
You shake it out more than 3 times after you pee, it's considered masturbating.
There's a common theme. Very disturbed people getting guns and doing terrible things with it.
I don't know. You might need some heavy artillery to hunt one of these motherfuckers down.
I got an AR-15 with a seal in my reserve unit. If you ever have to defend yourself,
apparently,
double-barrel shotgun at your house, if everything breaks.
I'm completely fucking it up. Apparently, they're into racketeering. These motherfuckers are known racketeers. They'll rack up some RICO charges. The feds come after them. It looks so cute. I don't understand. I don't understand how it could be such a devilish creature. I'm pro prairie dog.
Breaks down and the mobs come, it's not enough. We're not going to ban assault weapons. We did that, tried to vote on that in 2013, got 60 no votes. But we can't.
The prairie dogs are doing the racketeering, Sassy.
Background checks for 18 to 21-year-olds. We can give states who have red flag laws money to hire more psychologists, more psychiatrists, and more cops. We can do some things on the mental health front that will maybe intervene in these people's lives before it's too late.
I love that I'm getting meerkat facts and
Bernie's support. If we can write it the right way, we'll get 70
prairie
votes.
dog facts.
And that's no small thing. So I want to say this as we close. Thank you, Bernie, for being willing to be open-minded to supporting this package.
You want to talk about
I think it will get.
You want to talk about holes in the ground? Let me tell you about my buddy Matt Walsh. God damn it, did it have it again? Going over there on the TV. Matt Walsh is pro-hole. I love that picture of me that I put of him in a hole. This is for the YouTube thumb of the video the other day. Matt Walsh is pro-hole.
Give cover on the lefts from people who are upset is not enough. John Cornyn, Mitch McConnell, maybe myself.
I love the whole emote.
People on the right when people say it's too much. So it'd be a great thing if the Senate could come together and do this pretty soon.
Final word, Senator Sanders.
If I could, and again, thank you for this discussion. The difference, the political.
Do we get Sheila E. at the end of this? Is she going to pop out and sing a song for us? Because I would be very happy. Like, for the Summit of the Americas spoiled me on politics. Because now I just expect Sheila E. to pop out and do a drum solo for us after every fucking event. And if it doesn't happen, I'm disappointed. So I'm always disappointed now.
Political difference, aside from all of the ideas that we disagree on between Lindsey and myself, as Lindsey keeps saying, let's go to the Senate, let's go to the House, let's have bipartisanship. I'm all for that. When I was in the House, I probably passed more legislation on the floor with Republican support than any other member. So I'm for that. But at the end of the day, there is a bigger issue, Lindsey. And the issue that we have to ask is, in fact, at this moment in history, is the United States Congress, in fact, representing the needs of the majority of the people in our country, or are they representing powerful special interests? And I think most people, frankly, whether they are conservative Republicans or progressives, will tell me that the Congress is way, way out of touch with the needs of the American people. Now, you may disagree with Medicare for all. You may disagree with expanding Social Security, lifting the cap, whatever it may be. That's not where the American people are at. So, yeah, I believe in bipartisanship. But more important, I believe we have a corrupt...
I felt like the whole thing has been Lindsey Graham getting owned.
...campaign contributors.
It's been an hour and 10 minutes of Lindsey Graham being owned.
Supreme Court decision. I think we've got to revitalize American democracy. We have to need Republicans to say Trump is not telling the truth. He did not win the election. That democracy, with all of its faults, is better than authoritarianism. So that's where I think Lindsey and I disagree. Thank you.
Senator Sanders, Senator Graham, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brett Baer.
Back in Washington.
Bargain basement Henry Winkler over Brett's right shoulder.
Across the country and across the globe.
I also saw bargain basement Anthony Hopkins.
Available on demand on Fox Nation starting right now, and will also air this Saturday on Fox News Channel, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's it from the Edward.
Oh, so they are going to air it on Fox News. It's just going to be in a few days. There you have it. I had to give Fox Nation my email. I will now receive emails until I remember to junk mail Fox Nation on behalf of you people so I could show you the Bernie Sanders Senator Lindsey Graham debate. Hold on, I've got something else that you need to see over here. This hailstorm in Mexico is fucking wild. Oh, and I've got a kitten, of course. You got your animal video. Terrifying moment. Supermarket ceiling collapses during hailstorm in Mexico City, injuring one person. I'm gonna have to turn off the ads here on the daily the Daily Mail. Check this shit out. The January 6th hearing for tomorrow has been postponed. Somehow I ended up getting an advertisement in all of this. It's fucking odd. Well, play, get it over with. I can give you a Socrates. There's a Socrates right at my feet. It looks very comfy. Say hi, Socks. Oh, God. Okay, this video is wild. This hellstorm. All the pictures are insane. You can see the hell on the side of the street there, and on the cars, and the flooding that took place in Mexico City. This is a roof of a supermarket. God damn. Battered it. The world, though, is fine. I'm sure. We're still inside the supermarket.
Maldito granizo.
This is a wild ass storm. We're getting ready to show you all kinds of pictures. Not just the supermarket. Driving through the fucking hill is insane. Oh, here you go. There's the fucking video of it. What the fuck? I'd like to remind everyone it's fucking summertime right now. This was in Mexico City. So here you can see it's like nighttime under a bridge. You can see the hell piled up in the street. At least 200 residents were evacuated from their homes by rescue workers. A shopper was visiting the supermarket when a section of the roof slowly started to collapse. Another picture. It is June. Mexico City. Kids throwing pieces of hell at each other. Well, that's not a kid. That's a big dude. It's not snow, kiddos. Which maybe since it's warm enough, maybe it's like it's melted and it is behaving more like snow, like a slushy snow. Look at this. This is a picture of a kid playing in it. Residents walked through ice in Mexico City on Sunday night after the Mexican capital was hit by a hailstorm. And a lot of flooding taking place. All right, we'll be back with the news tomorrow night. Cover the goings on. The January 6th hearing has been postponed. RB says the rumor is that it was... What? Oh. Oh, well, you didn't... Didn't know it was like a two-part thing. Goddamn. Okay, I got you. We're good. We got a two-part animal video going on here. Look, got the TikToks going on. Everybody's all on the TikTok. Sometimes the Facebook is weird to me.
Kill for sure.
Well, he ambushed him.
He's on the side of the road. You're gonna get killed for sure.
He looks kind of like Maynard. Got a bit of a Maynard look to him.
Someone just. Oh no! It's a whole. Oh my god!
Oh shit, there are more.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! There's more.
Holy fuck. There's a lot of them.
I'm not able. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh, indeed.
Ah, there's more.
It's a platoon of kittens.
I thought I'd save him one. Hot diggity dog.
Oh, you thought you were gonna save one. We have a follow-up of what happened with the kittens here. The two-parter. You get a a kitten caboodle. Might be a catastrophe. We've got one dressed up already.
Everyone's been asking for an update.
They are properly housed, well fed, playing with each other. Got all the toys they could want.
And then
they're pinned in, but I can kind of understand. They little hellions at that age. Tones, I'm not sure. Video you posted on my YouTube, I'm not sure. I haven't checked any notifications on YouTube.
Everyone's been asking for an update.
There's 3 of them up on that one. There's 2 of them, 3 of them laying together there.
Sleeping there too. What we got in this little kitten corral? They can run around and play.
I hope cows are treated amazing before they get slaughtered and
just to be tormented,
made into steaks and put in my belly. This one's a little hellcat, isn't he? Little asshole. We got this one wearing a dress, and a bow tie. Fuck, the bow tie's cute. The bow tie is fucking cute.
Everyone's been asking for an update.
Oh, they probably are about the age where they're ready to be shuttled off.
What we got in this little kitten corral?
Because they are a bit much to deal with altogether. What, fucking 8 of them?
The other ones can be tormented with photography. More to follow.
They are adorable though. 8, is that the final count? We might be missing one. There might be one under something somewhere. There's 13 total. There were 13 rescued from that.
Asking for an update. The kittens are doing great.
Well, I'm glad they're doing great. That makes my heart swell. Kitten corral.
Around and play. And then the other ones can be tormented with photography.
Tormented. That's what I'm saying. There could be kittens we don't even know about. They're just hidden places somewhere. I like that this one's chill enough that you can take pictures of it and shit.
Everyone's been asking for an update.
Because there could be kittens inside that box. There could be kittens, behind this fucking thing right here.
There's some sleeping there too. What we got in this little kitten corral?
If you're watching on Twitch, we're going to go over and we're going to say hey to Ricky the Great One.
The other ones can be tormented with photography.
Tormented with photography, indeed. Make these kittens work for it. Give them their own Instagrams. They can be little money-making machines. They can be influencers by the time they get adopted out. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin FREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol. Live.